I said, give me a hell yeah.
Everybody, and welcome to a Fiend coronating, Lesnar revenge touring, War Games pimping episode of the Brothers of Discussion. We're going to cover everything from the first women's match in Saudi Arabia history to AEW's tag team developments, including the crowning of their first ever tag team champions, and make some time to touch on this Jordan Myles fiasco. Matt, it's October 31st. Happy Halloween from one brother of discussion to the other. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Mike, I have 3 bags of candy, and I've had about 12 trick-or-treaters, so I'm going to have a fun weekend. I don't know how your trick-or-treater count went, but... mine's
going quite well. I've got apples, I've got some Better Made chips, and a roll of pennies as soon as one trick-or-treater walks up.
Well, I've actually still been chowing down on the Halloween candy the last couple days, and we've barely seen a dent made in the bowl. And of course, we still have another 2 bags of candy that haven't been opened yet. So good news, bad news there. But for all the good news and all the stylings of the Brothers of Discussion, head on over to bodpodcast.com and brothersofdiscussion.com. Find us at BOD Podcast on Twitter. Find us on Facebook as the Brothers of Discussion. Find our live wrestling discussion group titled as such, Live Wrestling Discussion, with some spoilers, hosted by bodpodcast.com. And find us on Instagram as brothers_of_discussion. And please, you can find us anywhere that you're listening to podcasts. So if you have a buddy that likes pro wrestling, send them on over to wherever they're listening to podcasts. Tell them to download the Brothers of Discussion and follow us, subscribe to us, rate us, and review us, please. We need to see those numbers go up so we can start doing more for you.
Oh, yeah.
Mike, with that, we've got a lot to talk about. I don't know if you want to jump into one WWE fiasco or another, which would just be another Blood Money pay-per-view. Or if we want to talk the fun stuff, which is always Wednesday Night Wrestling. But I know on the list here, I know what I've got. And it just happened this afternoon, as we record, was Crown Jewel, which is that Blood Money.
It is fresh. Yep. No, there isn't a better way to celebrate Halloween than with a little blood money. The card, the card was an expensive card. We know that some of the guests, including Cain Velazquez and including Tyson Fury, who does not work for Tyson Meatpacking, it turns out, both, showed up, made millions of dollars to be on this Saudi card. But the big news, Matt, WWE has pulled the trigger, and they have a new Universal Champion in the Fiend.
Let's actually, it's funny. We should have said, but somebody else had a bigger night, and then we jump into this audio.
What the hell are you kidding me? Oh no! What the hell? The Fiend! Oh my goodness! The Sister Abigail, the Rollins! The Fiend rose from the ashes and won the Universal Championship. The Fiend Bray Wyatt is the Universal Champion. When there's no more room in hell, the Fiend shall rule the earth.
Oh, I'm glad you got that in the cut.
I didn't get that from Corey. I know it's a nod to Dawn of the Dead, and then, of course, I think the Bible.
Oh, yeah. Based on the book. Based on the New York Times bestseller, the Bible.
I know it from Dawn of the Dead. But that other book, yeah, I think more people are familiar with that one. Any hoozles, when there's no more room left in hell. You know what? That was a more fitting ending to Hell in a Cell, if you think about it. But here we are. Mike, we got what we wanted a month ago, and I don't know. Social media isn't thrilled. I was just happy because I said to myself, okay, now it's over. They put the feet, they did the whole electrical equipment thing where the wrestler who usually gets put through that is out for like a month. Like that's what happens to a wrestler, and then they go on vacation. We see him on Instagram celebrating, down in Mexico or
Taking
something at a
pictures
nice
with Charlotte Flair or something.
resort.
Yeah.
Right,
No.
exactly.
I'm not calling her.
You know exactly.
No, I just mean the Andrade stuff is all over.
Yeah, you know exactly where I'm going with
Yeah.
that. But no, the Fiend is the first one. He got up before Rollins could even get down, like from I don't know, what do you call it? The stage, the entrance stage, and gets the win. I don't know. It was a terrible match, Mike, to be completely honest. I've been watching scary movies with my wife all day, and this was definitely, oh man. I know it's for the Universal title. I know it's the Fiend, but yeah, just kind of like a repeat, but with that little sprinkle in there that it can't end. So I guess even if there was an accident and Bray Wyatt had like a pole sticking through his belly, they would have had Seth go down there and pin while he was in tears watching his friend die. But no, I now I'm rambling. But not a great match, but I think it's over, right?
Let's take a step back. Like we started the show, we said, Tyson Fury came out. He had his first WWE, I guess we'll call it a match. He defeated Braun Strowman. Brock got to get revenge on a match, a UFC fight that was 10 years old that nobody was thinking about except probably Brock. And the Fiend won the Universal title. So I just think what's weird is that I think the past couple weeks we've just mentioned Crown Jewel kind of being, this is the plaything of a Saudi prince. He has a massive checkbook. He can bring The Undertaker bring him off the bench. He can bring Shawn Michaels out of retirement. He can bring Triple H out of a soft retirement. He can get Goldberg to fight again. So it just kind of seems like Crown Jewel operates in its own little bubble where, it's like, whose line is it anyway? The points don't matter. And I guess, Matt, how do you reconcile that with the Fiend? Because if we're going to look at these other events as being one-offs, because it's just, it's obeying the whims of a rich man. How do we reconcile that with the Fiend? Does that mean that this is going to be a short-lived Universal title run? Or is it just that they were so afraid of like the results they've been getting from the dark matches, from crowd reactions at, the TV tapings, that they just said, we just got to pull the trigger. We can't wait any longer.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack there. But what I'm going to start with is just, you couldn't go another month of not giving the Fiend the title, because that Hell in a Cell match was so bogus. And it's obvious, it's clear right now they have no idea how to book a match with Bray Wyatt. And I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but we've talked to folks that say 100% of that is what's going on with the guys in the ring. I find that hard to believe myself. I think there's a lot of direction coming through to just, let's do 15 finishers, and then that. I don't know. I know I'm getting off track, but I find that hard to believe. So when I come to that conclusion, I've decided that the WWE is finding it pretty tough to book Bray Wyatt in a championship match, which comes back to what I said a couple months ago, where he shouldn't even be in these championship matches yet. So yeah, that being said, I think that since they were in this hole, like I think I just need to preface it this way, is that I still don't think this is the right place for Bray Wyatt, but they dug this hole themselves. So the only way you could kind of dig yourself out of it was to just keep digging. So, all right, let's make him the champion and let's see what we can do from there. Because the absolute last thing they could do was give up on the hole and walk away. and just have Bray try and find some way to make his character relevant again. So yeah, I mean, it was either this month or it was going to happen at Survivor Series, but we found out, today too, that Survivor Series is getting a heck of a kick in the pants, maybe in a good way. So yeah, do you wait 2 months to pull the trigger, right? There's just so much here. You would have had to give Bray Wyatt a whole month off because you wouldn't want anyone to remember that Bray exists if he lost again today. I think that was that's the main grab, at least in my opinion, for this happening.
It's just so funny that like the easiest answer for WWE was just to punt. Like instead of having him, go from Finn Balor right to Seth Rollins for the championship, if you could have just given him one more feud, then you just got to get through, the Saudi Arabian circus, and then Survivor Series, which traditionally does not have, if they're going to do the brand splits, it's not going to have a battle for the WWE championship. It's going to be a champion versus champion, brand war.
Yeah.
So then you could have just punted and then just waited for, Royal Rumble, but I don't know. You can't go back now. And
yeah, now you definitely can't go back.
Now unless they just want to, enrage the WWE audience, or even worse, make them bored so that they go to alternatives, on Wednesday nights. The Fiend's going to be your champion all the way through WrestleMania, barring injury. There you go.
I mean, yeah, there's so much to talk about here. So I don't want to leave it at just that. Because I mean, you asked, is it going to be a short?
There's a lot more to process, because if you got to imagine Seth's going to have a rematch. So we'd be looking at kind of our second or third version of them, fighting each other, and then ultimately you got to think the Fiend is going to win the feud. So then Seth Rollins is going to have to find something else to do, and we're going to have to, elevate somebody else to fight the Fiend, or the Fiend is going to. It's a weird position, because it's like traditionally as the champion, people come for you, but it feels like the Fiend is going to seek people out to fight.
Yeah, like he shouldn't be in the ring and get attacked by like Kevin Owens or something. So here's the other confusing element here. The Fiend is technically on SmackDown, right? Brock is also on SmackDown. So now you've got the Universal Championship and the WWE Championship on SmackDown. If you had to pick someone that was more likely to lose before WrestleMania, who would you pick?
Well, it's got to be Brock then.
Wow. I would have 1,000% said the Fiend.
Unless they're going to do some triple threat shenanigans or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, Brock will...
I think they're pooping their pampers right now. They don't want to, they feel like, we already made one big mistake with the Fiend and knocked his popularity down. Are we really going to make another mistake like that?
Yeah, I totally agree. This is all reactive, and that's what I've always said is the problem, is that they're never thinking long term. They're always thinking like in the short term, what can we do this week to make the show good enough? And they never, like you say, I'd be happy if they punted more often, because I feel like that would mean that they're trying to plan for something. They're going to punt because eventually their offense is going to be able to overcome, or they trust their defense enough. I think all they're doing is on fourth down is they're going for it again. That's what it feels like to me. And then they're giving up the ball on the inch line, and AEW goes in for another touchdown. And then NXT is stuck on the other side of the road, the other side of the highway, playing in the minor leagues. But go ahead.
Well, I think that the problem is they're scared to even punt, because if you're looking at who the main event guys are right now, Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins, those guys are supposed to get pushes even earlier in both their careers for longer, and then they both got injured. So now it kind of feels like, well, we're not going to wait for this stuff anymore. They're healthy, put them out there.
But then
I don't think they like running that risk.
And I don't know, we've talked about that before, but I hate that idea. What? That's such a silly way to run a television program. You and I agree. We're not here for just the quote unquote sport of it, or we'd be
Well,
watching
it's like,
combat sports.
no, that I think that it kind of feeds into our argument, because if they're just going to say, well, these guys get hurt, these are, they're assets, but they're humans. We saw what happened last time when we kind of dragged our feet. So what they should have done is just given Bray the victory at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, but they're still.
But we're not
then
there,
they're still
Matt.
in this situation.
Let me ask you this.
Like, they're still in this jumble, and we probably still would have watched
Yeah.
the Fiend against Seth Rollins at Crown Jewel.
Well, there's just a lot of molar grinding right now. Matt, what is the most positive thing of this outcome today?
Sorry, I had to get my hand on the mouse.
Thank you, Chris.
Go ahead.
What's the most positive, wrinkle, detail, outcome with Bray's victory today? What's the most positive thing?
I got halfway to talking about it, and then I got all scrambled trying to think about him becoming the Universal Champion. But the most positive thing is they really did, without a match ending. What do you say? What was their? It's not. They didn't end the match in a DQ, but they were saving a life, right? So now we see Bray Wyatt. We see Bray Wyatt come out of the rubble, presumably dead with this electrical fire that he got thrown into, and then he gets the win. So I think the most positive thing that came out of this is that now we've established Bray with some sort of paranormal presence, like we always wanted with The Undertaker, why we love Finn Balor so much, and why we wanted him to be Universal Champion as Demon Balor. Like, it's just something. I think we talked to a guy that writes comic books a couple weeks ago, because we all kind of, I think we're all running into those same worlds. Like, we like the superheroes kind of thing, and we like the monsters, we like the magic. It's all there. So if I had to pick the only good thing to come out of this, because I still wish he was not in the Universal title picture, but now we know the Fiend truly is more powerful, or maybe we just say stronger than anybody else on the roster. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in regards to possibly a fight with Brock Lesnar coming up. But what would you say is the most positive thing?
Well, I'd say the most positive thing is that this is such unknown territory. When the Fiend came out, we all looked at each other like, my God, what is happening? And I mean, it's a little bit like, getting a new, for me, I really want a Dodge Challenger.
Yeah.
And maybe the way I got it, or, maybe it's manual instead of automatic transmission, but we got there. Bray Wyatt is our champion. And barring some unforeseen circumstance, he's going to be our champion for a long time. And I think that's something we've clamored for years. We've got it. And now he's not going to be booked in a way that WWE is comfortable with. They're going to have to really flex their creative muscles to find new challengers for him. And also, they're going to be able to, kind of give Seth Rollins a break from being in the spotlight. Because I think he needs a little bit of a reboot. Like, he needs to kind of readjust his character a little bit. And, now we have that opportunity. We're going to have a new masked face, heading SmackDown. So it's exciting territory because it's new. The path to get there was probably not, what most of us wanted, including the Brothers of Discussion, but damn it, we got it. We got Bray Wyatt. He's our champion. Now let's see what they can do with it.
And I'll just, the capper would be new is the scariest word in the world, I think, for the WWE. I don't know if they're psyched about it, but I know at least from that point of view, maybe they can't just jump into the same old, because I feel like that's what they did with putting him in the Universal title picture, was doing the same old, and they're trying to fit, the square peg in a round hole kind of thing. And it just didn't work, and they didn't know how to make it work. So hopefully they'll just keep their ear to the ground, kind of what not entirely what do the fans want, but let's not completely screw this up like we did last time. Turn Seth Rollins into not just a heel, but to like an enemy of pro wrestling fans, which I still don't quite understand. But let's move on, because we'll be dissecting the Fiend for weeks and months, and we're definitely we're definitely saying goodbye to Cain Velazquez forever.
Some triumphs.
That was so stupid.
Yeah, I think that was kind of a surprising match, that it was so short. Usually you see a short match with, Brock traditionally gets a pretty short match. Or if somebody's green, they get a short match. But based on the highlights you could find on YouTube, it looked like Cain, he kind of knows what he's doing in the ring. And it looked like they were just trying to... It looked like Brock booked this match. They teased him getting hit in the face. He kind of took one kick. There was some maneuvers on the mat, and then Kimura armlock ends the match.
Just kind of, made the whole building it up from the first episode of Fox and what could have been of that last segment. Just makes it all feel all the more empty, in my opinion. Just the way the whole match turned out.
Yeah, it's a weird way to go, because with Survivor Series around the corner, and based on some of the rumors floating around, it doesn't seem like this is going to be a feud extending into Survivor Series, Brock and Cain. So it's kind of a puzzling move. Like, I thought it was just the Saudi Arabia bubble, but Velasquez has signed a contract. He's with WWE for foreseeable future.
Well, and the other thing the other thing to keep in mind too is this they define this as not the Brock Cain feud, but this has always been Rey Mysterio and Brock Lesnar, and that's just now we know Cain can't beat Brock, and there's other guys on the roster that can. So you didn't really give him like the Ronda Rousey rub. I feel like Ronda got going in like with some victories and then winning a championship. So I don't know. Do I want Cain to get that rub? No, but if he signed a long-term contract,
I'm not that passionate about this feud.
Well, no, not necessarily the feud. Just what his relationship will be with WWE and with us as viewers. But I guess ending this with Brock and Rey. I don't know. You already know how I feel about Rey. I'm not the person that hears Booyaka Booyaka and gets on my chair and dances. I just don't. It's not, I don't know, it's old. You were just talking about the Fiend. Why is the Fiend so exciting? Because we don't know what's going to happen next. With Rey Mysterio, you know what you're getting. We've been watching, it's been...
Yeah, we don't want Matt to go down as Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, and it's been the same thing for how many years, so...
Some of us like lucha wrestling, man. I'm sorry. There's
a lot of surprises
another positive I'd say out of Crown Jewel. Matt, we got to see Nattie and Lacey lace him up in front of the Saudi Arabian crowd. I think when they emotionally were just overwhelmed, I think it was because of that crowd reception, which I'm so glad it turned out like that. You and I had been kind of conjecturing that part of the reason these two particular women were booked is that they're Teflon in a way, that whether this match was received with boos or whether it was received with crickets, which obviously in Vince's eyes is much worse, these two women wouldn't be damaged at all. They're at a point where Nattie is such a pro, it wouldn't matter, and Lacey, they haven't really invested to her where her losing a crowd would be a detriment to the entire division. So I think that was a natural choice to have these two fight against each other. I wouldn't be surprised to find out if Nattie, the longtime vet, if she got to pick her opponent. But yeah, it was we don't want to fuel the Saudi propaganda train too much, but I think it was cool to see these women lock up, have their match, and then see that it does matter. These. I think it's a microcosm of the wrestling audience, Matt, where we want like immediate gratification. And Saudi Arabia is a different country from the United States, and they're not as progressive in some areas, to put it lightly, as we are. So at the very least, they're making baby steps, and we can't make that country turn it all around. So it was inspiring. It was kind of nice.
Yeah, and the WWE made sure that you were aware. Like there's some sort of strategy behind this. Like before the show even started, they had a voiceover talking about how you don't wait for history to come to you. You go get it, and they didn't. God bless them. They didn't show like close-ups of Nattie and Lacey and really rubbing your nose in it. But I think at least if they keep saying that, and then they are making movements like this, like if we went another show and there wasn't a ladies match or something, and I honestly thought this was more than we would get. So I'm pretty happy that happened. But it's so what we're running into is, do you just trust that the WWE wants to make these changes, or is this all just a big PR stunt? And at least when we say that we watched a wrestling match, right, happen today, that match actually did happen. It wasn't something they talked about trying to make happen. It becomes easier to believe that they're on the path of making the world better, and that felt pretty nice. So yeah, good match, great. The emotion behind it, the celebration afterwards. All around.
Yeah, one of the little bright spots, and I'd say one of the matches I actually tuned in to watch. Outside of that, I wouldn't really gloss over anything else from Crown Jewel. It is the Saudi house show. I don't know. I'm ready to move on to the Wednesday Night Wars, man. All right,
let's do it.
I had AEW this week. You had NXT. Matt, it was pretty good card. I feel like 2 weeks in a row I kind of got the better end of the deal. I got Hangman Page beating up Sammy Guevara, and then he cut a hilarious promo where he said, "I'm gonna start doing some cowboy shit. Pac, I'm gonna break your face." But it wasn't just that he said shit or that he said he's gonna break Pac's face. It was that the crowd then did a cowboy shit chant. So bravo to the AEW faithful for their lively cowboy shit. But Matt, I'd say the other big event from AEW was the first ever tag team champions of AEW being crowned. And you got to see SCU versus Lucha Bros, and much like I think you would say the first round of this tag team tournament got these two teams here is, like, for example, when you saw Young Bucks in Private Party, you thought, oh, well, I guess the Young Bucks basically get, a first round bye, and then they were out. And I think here, a lot of people thought, the heavy favorites were the Lucha Bros, and SCU ended up taking those championships, man. And let me get your thoughts here. Do you think that this is a good move?
Yeah, we've talked so many times about building up this roster. I know you're a huge fan of Cody and Jericho getting, like you want to build up the old guys so that there's something to believe in. But I at least think there's something to say for the Young Bucks and Lucha Bros that they didn't need to hold a title. And if you have guys there that can actually put on a good match, like I think we're pretty sure that SCU's been able to do that. Unlike, Private Party, my big complaint last week was their ability or their stamina to keep the match going, or keep it, keep the flow and the energy high. And I just don't see that problem with SCU. So I think, overall, I think you've made the choice of the guys that do put on a good show. And you've made a choice of a couple of guys that aren't just, coming in, we didn't know a lot about AEW, but we did know Lucha Bros, and we did know the Young Bucks, their existence, their background. So
Yeah.
I say great move.
Yep. Absolutely. Build it up. You can't have depth if the other teams don't win. And I'd say the other kind of fun little angle they did is I know WWE's really a really big fan of like putting somebody in pop culture, to host Raw or host SmackDown, and market their stuff a little bit. And it looks like Turner Network Television basically is trying to get you to watch more Rick and Morty on Cartoon Network Adult Swim. So they had Rick and Morty wrestlers dressed up as Rick and Morty, Matt. It was the Best Friends in Orange Cassidy. I think the crowd ate it up. I think that it sometimes those kind of marketing decisions where it's over the top can be kind of a nightmare, and the crowd kind of turns on the whole segment, and then it makes everybody look dumb.
Yeah.
But I don't think there was a more perfect person to put in that than the Best Friends in Orange Cassidy, who are already kind of a tongue-in-cheek gimmick.
It was nice too to have Justin Roiland call the entrance for that.
Yeah,
segment.
that was really cool.
That was pretty cool. Yeah,
they got a little custom entrance there. They got a little Rick and Morty montage. Then they came out
Rick
in
and
the
Morty,
the gear.
years. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry. Yeah, it was just.
I should have gotten that drop. Damn it.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, it was fun, Matt. I think that's when I was watching AEW. I was just sitting there with a smile because we're not worrying about Nielsen numbers. We're not worrying about who had higher viewership. It was just a fun night, like, to watch wrestling. I got to hear cowboy shit. I got to see tag team matches that meant something, and I got to see a really weird cross promotional segment that involved professional wrestling and a cartoon about interdimensional travel. So it was overall just a fun night at AEW. Matt, what stood out for you on NXT?
Oh God, I still wanted to talk Jon Moxley.
Yeah, you can put that in there.
Why? So I liked the promo, and I liked how you threw it on there as let loose. Why are they already doing this? Tony Khan having the conversation with Moxley in the back, and horrible acting, by the way. So it's not like we believe any of this, but to have to hear with all the problems we were just talking about with Hell in a Cell and Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt, why do I have to hear that when Moxley and Omega go at it, this doesn't count for wins and losses? Basically telling you,
well,
you're not
matter in AEW.
That's one problem, right? But now we've already been told that this match. So what do I want to say here? What are we watching this brand for? Are we watching it for the sport? Are we watching it because it's sports entertainment? Like I've been making the argument, it has been more sports entertainment than NXT these last, since it started.
Yeah. And
that is a sports entertainment decision, right? So I think even are you defining yourself as a different brand, or are you just, you're not even alternative. You're just an alternate. Very right. I mean, there's a huge difference there. You're just the other channel that you could turn on instead of WWE programming. So I think the real alternative is still NXT right now. And hearing that the Moxley Kenny Omega match will not count on the win-loss records is such a huge bummer, because I wanted that to be like part of the difference. We've already seen it not matter in regards to who's getting number one contender matches. Now we're seeing it being announced with two of the top stars, arguably, on this brand, that they're going to go at it, Mike, and it means nothing.
Well, I think what you need to do then is, what does it mean? It means that they're not going to be fighting for a win or to not lose. They're going to be fighting to the death. So I think that it was a really kind of risky way here, based on the way Matt's kind of interpreting it, because they are so steadfast about, well, it's AEW, lubba dubba dub dub, wubba lubba dub dub, which JR did get to say. So if you have not watched AEW, you definitely want to hear him butcher Wubba Lubba Dub Dub. It was beautiful. I think what they're just trying to say is that they're going to go to war, and this isn't like I have prepared myself. I'm sure you've been training as well, and let's go have a gentleman's contest. Yeah, it was kind of a risky, kind of dumb thing to present it like that, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try and see what they were doing. I'm gonna, maybe the delivery wasn't A plus. I agree, the acting was a little poo poo, but
the acting's, that doesn't bother me. I'm just saying, why have him deliver this line when you can tell it's obvious? Like, you're telling the fans one thing and then you're actually doing another.
The contest aspect of like sport, that makes it seem more structured, and I think what they're trying to do with Moxley is kind of have him operate outside of that structure. So that's a little bit, I think, what they're going for with his character.
No, and
that's why when I wrote totally he's off the hinge, they're like, totally no, he's really off the hinge. He doesn't even care about the win. He just wants to beat people up.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I just don't like the pulling the rug from underneath everybody again, like, which is what I think that's our problem with that Hell in a Cell match. I mean, I guess they're coming in front, they're saying before we even get to that point, like it would have been nice to know that Bray Wyatt, well, we won't let him get murdered in this match. So if it gets to that point, like if they made that announcement right before the Hell in a Cell match, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm off base, but I see these things are the exact same as telling me that the wins and losses matter. And then the Kenny Omega Jon Moxley match doesn't. And then that's the same thing to Bray Wyatt being built to the zenith and then losing or not winning at Hell in a Cell because he was about to get murdered in a match that can't end in a DQ. All I'm doing is stating over and over again the same point of view, so I'm gonna stop. But I don't know if you wanted a quick rebuttal to me one more time, or otherwise we can move on to NXT.
No, it works for me. It didn't work for Matt, and that's why we have the Brothers of Discussion. And
did you like
what
that idea, or you? I mean, because I don't mind,
and then
I don't mind Moxley being like over the top, because we've already seen like some hardcore matches with AEW that just get so over the top.
Well, I think you only watched one.
Fun.
It sounds like you only watched one promo. Because he also cut one against the Librarian.
Yeah, in the ring.
Yeah. When he said, I'm the baddest son of a bitch in this cage. I'm the sickest son of a bitch in this cage. Isn't a person in the back's going to prove me wrong.
Yeah.
I thought that was well done. Like,
I didn't say that was bad.
Yeah, I mean, WWE always said, that Moxley
talking about branding and
the lunatic fringe, but they would always tell us he was the lunatic fringe without letting him be the lunatic fringe. So, this sounds like a step in the right direction for that character. So if we had to do that clown show to start to get to that end point, that's where it is like Bray Wyatt, where it's like, well, it's not exactly how I wanted to get here, but I guess we're on the road, so okay, we're here. So I'm gonna.
It's always the journey,
settle.
Mike.
I'm okay.
Not. It's never just getting there, Mike. It's the journey to it. That's what you got to appreciate.
Let's.
I don't know. Now I feel like we're talking philosophy. I just want to let everybody know my philosophy is never as long as we get there. I want the journey to be good too.
Yeah.
I don't just want to know that there's a new Witcher TV show coming out.
Here
I want
we go.
it to actually
Matt,
be
let's
good.
talk NXT. Good Lord. You and your boyfriend, the Witcher.
Well, in the Witcher, Mike, there's going to be a lot of war, right? How's this transition?
Matt, isn't that a name you're describing?
But at NXT, Mike, there's going to be 2 wars. Yay! All right. So what happened was we actually have Rhea Ripley, Candice LeRae, Tegan Nox, and Dakota Kai fighting up against Baszler, Marina Shafir, Jessamyn Duke, and then Bianca Belair and Io Shirai come jumping in right at the end of this battle. And God, I love William Regal so much in his role as a GM. comes up on his cute little platform up above the ring to make this announcement as he's trying to get these ladies separated.
I've got a very simple solution for this. War Games.
What? Mia! We just saw women's history here in NXT, and we're gonna make more history at TakeOver.
It's about time! We are gonna have their very first women's War Games!
And that was Rhea Ripley kicking one of the security guards at the end there. How about the biggest twist in all of this? Like Rhea Ripley coming to NXT from NXT UK. How about her being an over face?
Yeah,
like
the conquering hero.
Her making that work. Yeah, that's so great. She was such a great heel, and she's making being a face like the most badass thing in the women's division. Mike, we've said it a billion times. She is money. I don't know how many times we can say it. She's a globetrotter. She's going to bring fans from all over the planet. She's amazing at what she does. She's got power, speed, agility. She's got all the tools. She's amazing on the mic. And now she's able to cross between face and heel. As smooth a transition as Paul White could do. So I'm just kidding. So with that, obviously Ripley's going to be captain of one team, and then we've got Shayna Baszler, the NXT Women's Champion, will be captain of team number 2. Now, team number 2, Mike, if you're counting at home, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 members. Rhea Ripley's team, Mike, has only 4.
Oh, they're going to need an alternate, Matt.
Who are you adding as the 5th to make this a 5-on-5 War Games match?
Naomi.
That's a good one. I was wondering if Ember Moon wanted to fight again, if she wanted to be in wrestling again. I thought that one really made sense in my mind.
That's way better than my pick. I hope it's not somebody like Piper, because I don't think that the storyline is really there. Ember coming back to do battle against like Baszler and Shafir and Duke, that would be electricity.
I think if the 4 horsewomen in the main roster, if that storyline wasn't so muddied, I think you could easily pull, Bayley, Sasha, Becky or Charlotte.
I think that's kind of cool.
That's just on its
those easy picks are not really on the table. Like it's not going to be Becky, Charlotte, Nattie, Sasha, Bayley. None of those people are going to be involved. It doesn't work. This is a A+ because Ember's definitely been on the sideline. We don't know where the hell she's been. I think for her to come home to NXT would be it would be an NXT creative sized idea where it's just perfect.
I wish I had a Chris Jericho drop of him saying it's a good idea from good creative, which would be us.
Well, man, how about this? It's the opposite of.
It is the opposite of.
It was a stupid idea from bad creative.
We need to get more than one drop.
Do we? I mean, that's a pretty bulletproof drop. You just either say it is or it's the opposite. We got it.
I'm thinking about cutting that Ric Flair promo into like a 4-second of him just going kind of like Big Mouth, those monsters. Anyway, the hormone monsters, that's what they're called. All right, so I mean, we're doing something obviously never been done before at NXT with the women's War Games, and I mean, the end of the show was just as great, I thought, with the second War Games being announced, or at least what I think is, because Ciampa said he'd like.
Sorry, Goldie, Daddy's going to war.
Yeah, at least with Ciampa saying he's going to war.
Make blood move in your genitals. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, and so I mean, we're also short a guy on Ciampa's team because that would make it 4-on-3. And I didn't know if Johnny and Finn Balor were getting involved in this, or if it really is just going to be 1-on-1 on the next big NXT show of Finn Balor and Gargano going at it.
I hope that's the case, because I think that kind of opens the card up a little bit more. And you got to, if you get Ciampa in there with, I don't know, Keith Lee. Is he going to be in there with Dijakovic, Velveteen? I don't know, Matt Riddle. I don't know. All those guys are on the table. I think that.
Well, yeah,
I think Matt. I think I was kidding. I like to rib you about who gets to watch the better show every week. I think you got the better show because you had exciting like clashes night of, and then you really got to set the stage for the future and get you really excited.
Yeah, I think this was like the first time for me since watching NXT and AEW that NXT really started to pull in the storylines with what has been some amazing wrestling these last few weeks. But it's hard. This is the first week. It's really hard for me to pick a winner, though, and I think that's maybe what I'll put the stamp on. Like, there's got to be an NXT and AEW, or they're both worth watching. Like, there wasn't a clear-cut winner for me, and I think that's got to be something we should start keeping track of. Is like wins, losses, and ties. Because here at Brothers of Discussion, Mike, the wins and losses matter, and the ties are even better. So
that's right. AEW.
So with NXT wrapping up, we do have, you kind of hinted at it already, Mike. We've got to talk about Survivor Series, adding NXT, because I think, Mike, this is huge news for anybody that's purchased a Royal Rumble ticket, which would be you and I, because I think, Mike, now we are attending an event that is not a Raw and SmackDown only Royal Rumble. It will also be an NXT Royal Rumble. And even better, Mike, I think we're going to get maybe a 40-man Royal Rumble. Really got my fingers crossed on that. But yeah, Survivor Series is going to be Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT. And I don't know how they're going to do it, if they're doing like round robin stuff and they're going to have NXT face Raw every now and then, SmackDown face NXT, kind of thing, and who's got the best win-loss record. I think that's a great idea, but the most fun thing in the world, Mike, would be triple threats, top to bottom. It would just be so much fun. Or like if it's like the tag division and we get like six teams going at it, two NXT, two SmackDown, two Raw. I don't know. Let's just right now. I think the most interesting conversation, Mike, and this comes back to do I think the Fiend is going to have a long title run? This would be my argument against him not having a long title run, because if you do Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT, you've probably got to do Brock versus the Fiend versus Adam Cole, which...
Oh, man. Sign me up!
I know! Like, I hate Brock as much as the next guy. And it looks like we're stuck with Brock for much longer than we may have anticipated. But damn, I'd watch that main event, because you got to think, like, Finn Balor gets close when it's just Finn versus Brock Lesnar. But if you've got the Fiend in the middle there, Adam Cole is going to get some licks in, and he might get a win. I don't know. That really excites me, having Brock in a triple threat for the title, and especially with two talented individuals like Bray Wyatt and Adam Cole being in the other corners. But there's so many matches that I think we've been hoping and praying for so long that could be happening. I mean, like, think about AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Roderick Strong, Mike, in a triple threat match at Survivor Series. I just got chills, and my nips are hard. They just popped through my shirt. I got so excited thinking about that. I'm dead serious. I just got chills just thinking about that. And I'm kind of embarrassed to say, but then on the flip side, we've got Shayna Baszler finally coming up and taking on Becky and Bayley, right? Bayley's got it. Bayley's got the title back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
How amazing is that?
Becky, Bayley, and Baszler. Yeah, I think that this is a long time coming. I mean, we've had NXT kind of hanging around. We can do it, and then it was like they're testing the waters with War Games, because those were big team clashes, and now it's like, the hell, what are you doing? Let's just have these guys all fight each other.
Yeah.
And for once, it doesn't feel like a paper alliance. Like NXT is a brand that we recognize and respect. And now NXT is going to war against, the big brother. So I think that this could be like, record numbers for Survivor Series. Just all I got to do is book it right, and I don't think it should be that hard to book.
Yeah, and it would be a real shame to see like NXT come through as like shucks, look they almost won every match. Like I asked the question, is this the first time there should be a clean sweep at Survivor Series if we're keeping track of like Raw and SmackDown records? And I would argue, Mike, yes, 1,000%. We should have NXT come in as the underdog and win every single match, including Brock versus Bray versus Cole.
I think that part of the
and have Adam Cole walk out with the
WWE
and Universal title. I'm just kidding.
It would be legitimate, like like chest bumping. You know what I mean? Like because it definitely feels like sometimes the WWE guys kind of look at, man, why does the NXT guys get all that respect? Or look at how Finn Balor was. I think he was really excited to come back down to NXT because he kind of saw how easy it is to get lost in the shuffle, and he wanted to be part of that family again. So I think there's a lot of pride that those guys have. So I think this would be a Survivor Series that would feel like there's real emotional bragging rights and real emotional stakes on the line. I want Survivor Series tomorrow. Like, that's how exciting it would be. Like, I'm ready.
Yeah, and to keep taking that step forward, I think you agree with me. Royal Rumble is easy to write if you throw NXT in there. And I think we've already seen the ticket change because you would get a ticket to Worlds Collide, and they're not doing a takeover at Royal Rumble. We already talked about that. But Mike, is WrestleMania? Are we done booking feud matches at WrestleMania? Because we're going to have another 4 matches now from NXT to fit in to WrestleMania on top of the other championship matches.
I don't know, because they're going to do War Games, so they might figure out like one mega takeover or something like that. I don't know. I think that one we're going to have to kind of wait on a little bit. I'm so excited for Survivor Series.
Yeah, me too.
It's, man, what an announcement. Like, I honestly can't wait to see these clashes. It's going to be one of those things where we don't even need the match to start. Just seeing these people kind of square off face to face, like you said. AJ Styles versus anybody in NXT would be really cool. I wouldn't mind seeing like Daniel Bryan and Roddy Strong clash again. They used to in the Indies. We got to see them at that Greatest Royal Rumble. They got to fight each other a little bit. There's the entire roster would just be electric. I think that that could be a show I would want to buy a ticket for. That's a show I'd want to travel for, depending on, please just book it right. I don't overthink it. There's already that natural, I think, kind of not hatred, but like that competitive nature that comes out between these guys as they try to get a leg up in their careers. It's awesome, a great idea.
Yeah, and we talked a while back about doing NXT versus NXT UK in like a Ryder Cup kind of situation. I'm fine with this. I'm fine with this being it. Yeah, if we're gonna get it, I'm fine with it being one night and it being this. This is fantastic. I guess we kind of got that with Worlds Collide, so I'll keep my mouth shut or pay attention next time. Any hoozles, Mike, we have only one topic that you brought up in your intro that I think you wanted to bring up. I know it's going to bring the show down in regards to energy and direction, but I think this is an opportunity for us to tell everybody that Jordan Myles t-shirt was racist. And if you don't see it, that's part of the problem. You're part of the reason that we have a president that is a bonehead. And furthermore, if the WWE does not see that that's racist, that is in fact racist. So,
well, here's,
yeah, go ahead.
No, it's clearly racist. If you haven't seen it, it's in our discussion group. Basically, it's a black shirt for a black wrestler, and the entire graphic design is a red mouth with white teeth. It looks like every
With a black T-shirt.
Yeah, black T-shirt with red lips and white teeth. It looks like every racist depiction of a black person in a cartoon that you can imagine. And I think this isn't the first time WWE's done something, pretty offensive to the morals of a regular human being. They removed the shirt. It's no longer for sale on WWE Shop. Jordan Myles tried to call it out. We haven't really seen him on TV for a while. I don't know if he's going to be punished for speaking his mind on Twitter and trying to bring to light this awful situation. Where I don't know how this shirt possibly got through like the PR team at WWE. Hopefully it didn't go through them, because that means that there's some radical restructuring of that team that needs to occur if you're not able to see something that I could describe to somebody on the phone and they knew exactly what I was talking about, and then they saw the shirt and couldn't believe the description matched the shirt. Right. So I guess the big question here, Matt, is it was definitely racist. They're definitely trying to sweep it under the rug. What's it gonna take for us? How many more excuses are we gonna make for this company? Where we spend our hard-earned money watching the network, spending money on cable to watch them on cable, spending money on T-shirts, spending money on, video games, spending money to travel to watch their shows, buy tickets. What's it gonna take,
brother? That was a nod to also having Hulk Hogan in there, because you said, what's it gonna take? What you gonna do? Anyway, Mike, there isn't much more, right? Like, we should already probably have walked away. But I think it comes back to that point I made earlier, where the WWE is saying they're trying to be better, and we can keep pointing the past and saying, you did all these bad things, but you get, it's tough, right? Like, there's so many things that we can point to, and so few things that they've done in a response to reconcile all of those bad things. And at the end of the day, we're the problem. You and I, we have a show that primarily talks about the WWE, even though we bring up AEW for a little bit. We don't even talk about AEW Dark. we don't bring that up. It's only on a free platform called YouTube. But we watch the Blood Money show, and then this happens, and I think the first thing I sent to you was, is this it? Is this where we draw the line? And I don't know. I think we're really, really, really close.
Well, I think all you can do is it's so ingrained in us to watch WWE because it is so accessible. And WWE's kind of done two things. Because of the magic of the internet, it's easier than ever to get WWE content. Learn about wrestling, learn about wrestlers. We end up watching wrestling not because we just love WWE so much. We love the characters on the show. And I guess the two things that happen are, like, with the magic of the internet, they're able to get all that information out there so quickly, and then with how much information there is out there, it's easy to kind of downplay and forget when something like this happens. Because now, there'll be, new news coming out, the next second, the next minute, next hour, and Jordan Myles' story is going to get buried. So I guess the most responsible thing you could do is completely walk away. But because this is the most accessible wrestling show, I guess just try to use it to at least act a little bit better on your own. And support somebody like Jordan. try to make, maybe second guess if you're going to invest even more money into a company that's going to make business decisions like that. I don't think that we can, you can't really change the world or change wrestling, but you can at least, make a small change in your own behaviors. So shame on WWE. Good for Jordan Myles. I hope that he, still finds some success in his career and is still able to make some money with wrestling, and that this isn't some blacklist situation where it's, it's hard for him to get out from under this story. But yeah, I mean, just try to talk about the story, let people know what happened, and at least try to adjust your own decisions. I guess that's kind of the best thing you can do.
Yeah, and one of the things I saw on Twitter this week that, really brings it into perspective, like, don't stop saying you need to support AEW or WWE and support wrestlers. Support those guys first, because they're the ones that are putting their body on the line just for us and are eating up an hour of our week.
Yeah.
So I think that
support the talent. Don't nobody cares about the company. That's what blows my mind is like, we used to, like back in the day, we used to get upset like when an athlete that we loved in our local sports team would leave for greener pastures. Why? Guy's making a living. Why wouldn't he want to go earn, double what the home team's offering for a home team discount? Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
It's a business. He's trying to have a house and feed his family. Who gives a fuck if he plays in your city? So it's just like that. I don't give a damn about AEW. I don't give a damn about WWE. I like the performers. So I wish people would be a little bit more cognizant of that fact, that it doesn't matter what company they work for. It's not about, I only support the indie guys, or I only support the guys who, actually made it to a real show that's on TV. Those are companies. Who cares about them? You should just enjoy the wrestling, and that's done by the wrestlers. I don't know. I think that's going to be probably my final thought for this episode. It's support the wrestler, not the company.
I agree.
All right, we could put a pin in this episode, Matt. We're pushing an hour. We're finally going to end one somewhat on time.
Let's do it. Let's ride off into the sunset. Right. Everybody, thanks for listening. Head on over to bodpodcast.com, brothersof-discussion.com to check out everything Brothers of Discussion. Please subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. And, of course, if you're looking for us elsewhere, we are on Google Play. We're on Spotify. We're on everywhere that you listen to podcasts. We are available. So thank you so much for listening. We are the Brothers of Discussion. Have a good one.